Welcome. I'm your host, Malcolm Gallagher, from our BizVision studios in the UK. You're watching the BVTV network. Now, my guest today and myself, we've got something fundamentally in common. The most influential, and in my case, first business book we both truly embedded in ourselves was the famous Dale Carnegie book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. Here's my dog-eared copy, by the way. I bought in 1969. Though that's where our similarity ends. My guest went on to build a $350 million business. He's empowered over 40,000 women to change their lives. So let's go meet the phenomenon that is the CEO of Pure Romance and the author of this book, The Secret Is You. Welcome, Chris Cicchinelli.
Malcolm, thanks so much for having me. Really appreciate it and glad to be over in the UK.
Hey, Chris, I find it hard to keep track of you, though. You live in Cincinnati. You're in California today. Sometimes you're in Florida and you play golf in New Zealand. Have I missed anything?
No, you haven't. That is, all of those are accurate. So I haven't been over to New Zealand since, COVID, but I can't wait to get back over.
Yeah, well, I travel around the same like that, just so much creditors can't find me, but
Well, it was funny. I used to be I call my home whatever hotel I was at. If it was a Marriott or wherever, I was traveling 210 days, 250 days pre-COVID. And now that has stopped. I would love to be in the studio with you today, but we're still, now we're still in this cyber world that we live in.
Yeah, we're getting closer. We're getting closer, although you can keep the hug to yourself, but I'll have the beer. Right. Chris,
I love your little card too. I love the fact that you now.
Oh yes, I've been showing everybody that one. This is my special card to prove that I've had 2 COVID injections. This is my passport to freedom, Chris. My passport. I can travel the world with this, can't I?
I love it.
There's so much I like about in this book, especially the takeaways at the end of each chapter. Now, I know that authors don't like me doing this, but I had to put a sticky note in here because of the little bit that I quite like. And I'm going to read it out to readers and viewers, if you don't mind. It says, when you're working with a relative, in my case, my mother, that's you. In my case, it's my wife. Alcohol helps. A glass of wine never hurt anyone. Yeah, well, that is really true, because afterwards I'm sitting down with my wife and we're just talking about our business, and I've done my forward projections and she likes to sit there with a red pen.
That sounds like my life.
Yeah. Now, viewers, listeners, in this BBTV interview, I'll be talking to Chris in 3 parts. In part 1, actually, I'm going to do 4 parts, but I'm going to hold that one back for a second. In 3 parts. Part 1, what he means by the secret is you. In part 2, we'll discuss what holds women back from success. And in part 3, I want him to give you his thoughts on what can be the pathway to entrepreneurial success for women. Now, just as I hinted before, I'm adding a part 4 and asking Chris to tell me about the excellent work he and his wife are doing with Living with Change Foundation. So, first, Chris, can you briefly tell us what is Pure Romance and what caused you to write this book?
Yeah, so Pure Romance is it's an event company that has over 41,000 ambassadors that sell lotions. They sell that beauty, they sell intimacy products. So this company actually, prior to COVID, would go into homes, would throw a party, have about 10 people that would be there, women that would be there. And then you would do private, shopping, confidential shopping. Well, as of, March, we really had about face, and we started now doing more digital, where people would be able to talk about products such as if it was massage items, or if it was beauty products such as getting ready, from into the bathroom or into the bedroom. And so that's how we basically started Pure Romance. So we have 41,000 individual business owners that run their business every day. They're in charge of their marketing, they're in charge of their advertising, they're in charge of their payroll, they're in charge of their HR. And we've taught them how to run this. And it all stemmed from my mom starting this business in the basement of our house in 1993 with $5,000, right? And now you look at it today and it's over $350 million. But there's been a story behind that. And the story was why I wrote this book. I wrote this book because in 2000, I came back to work with my mother. Like I couldn't believe I did that, right? I was like, I'm coming back. And I'm doing this. I'm living in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm working for a publicly traded company. I had no desire to go back to work for my mother because, I graduated high school and, she was doing this. It was kind of like I think it was her own side business that she was doing. And I thought to myself, oh my gosh, she's asking me to come back and sell relationship enhancement items. Like, oh, there's no way I'll get a job anywhere in the world. But she convinced me to come back. Her and I basically went and got in a moving truck, right? And we took this business that we had essentially 300 people at the time. And we went from city to city, looking for people that wanted to have parties and looking for people that wanted to do a side hustle. And so 3 years in a moving truck with your mother can create a lot of therapy, and that's exactly what I instill in this book is I talk about people that are doing side hustles. And for 21 years, I kept having people go, how did you build it? How have you done it? What is the secret ways of going out there? And if I want to start my own business, what do I need to do? And that's why when I wrote this book, I see 80% of new small businesses, go out of business in the first 18 months. And people that are coming out of COVID are saying, you know what? The side hustle is the new security. I don't want to put my livelihood in somebody else anymore. And when I do have a job that most people go to, most people look at this as their job. The job stands for just over broke.
Yes.
I mean, it truly, people aren't being able to get by. They're not being able to take the extra vacation. They're not being able to max out whatever type of, if it's a 401k, if it's a SEP IRA or whatever their savings accounts are. Nobody's able to do that anymore because people, if they make $100,000, they spend 110. If they make 50,000, they spend 60. So the side hustle is something that's been talked about for so much during COVID. And so I wanted to write this book and be able to share it after my experience with working with 250,000 women, small businesses.
Yeah, excellent. There's so much more into it than just that, though. I felt the story that you talk about in it about a CEO that was, as you quite rightly said, living right up to his money. You yourself, when you became a multimillionaire at 37, you went out and bought everything, didn't you? Bentley, BMW, the lot.
I did all the bad mistakes that once you get money, because, I grew up, very low income. My mom was working for 4 pediatricians, making $4.25 an hour. So I always watched kids that were driving the new cars or kids being able to have things that I couldn't have in high school or even going into college. And, as soon as, you come out and you start making money. And then when I became a millionaire at the age of like 37, I was like, look, I'm going to go and I deserve this. I deserve the Bentley. I deserve the big house. I deserve to be able to go do all that. And I see that I tell people, don't make that mistake, because what you're going to do is I see these people making millions of dollars and they $10,000 themselves to death. And what happens is they find that they have nothing left at the end of the day. And I think that that's where I tell people, look, the secret is that you've got to put yourself in having discipline when it comes to your money. You have to discipline when it comes to your actions on a daily basis. And I did do that. And that's why I love to tell those stories, because people, once they get money, they need to understand, just because I hit my first million or hit my second million or hit my next 10 million, I had to make sure I preserved it. And I didn't think like that in the beginning.
No, I'm with you. Chris, let's move to part one. The world has been and is still going through an awful time because of the pandemic and the fallout. Yet you say there's opportunity out there. Now, I agree with you, by the way, but that may be difficult for many to see at the moment. So what do you mean by the secret is you?
So I think that people are always are looking and saying, hey, I want to start a business. What is the game plan? What is the footprint? What is the blueprint that I need to do? And I don't think that people understand that people aren't buying products anymore. People are buying people. And I think when you sit back and you think about the secret of success is going to start with you, not anybody else. It doesn't mean it ends with you. I think when it ends with you, when you understand you are the person that's going to be the charge, your person that's going to be driving, that's what I mean by the secret is you. It is, how do I go out there and operate on a daily basis? How do I put repetition into my life? How do I make sure that I'm detaching from an outcome? I have so many people that sit back and go, I want to be a millionaire like you, or I want to build a $100 million business. Great. That's the outcome. What are you going to do? What are the processes that you're going to do to build something like that? Are you going to make the extra phone call? Are you going to make the extra email? Are you going to be able to do the extra text message? Are you willing to live uncomfortable with to be comfortable in your life. And that's where I said, I think there's so much opportunity that's out there, but people think that it's a product that they're selling. They got to find the right product. I got to find the right way to go out and advertise. I got to find the right TikTok message or the right Instagram message. The issue is people don't understand that it's everything is starting with you. If you can lead yourself, if you can put yourself in those daily repetitions, if you can understand that the outcome is going to only happen if you commit to the process, I think the abundance of success is out there for anybody. But they've got to understand, they've got to commit to that for themselves, not anybody else. And your success is never going to be dependent on somebody else. You look at yourself in the mirror every day, you only know that it's you to count on to make sure that you're going to have the attitude to make sure that you want more out of life, that you're going to continue to keep driving. And that's where I believe that the success or the secret to success is going to be you. And that's what I want people to understand. Don't look at your staffs. Don't look at your family members. Don't look at your friends to be the way that are going to help you be successful in life. Take some responsibility, because I don't want to see you fail. Once you fail, what I see most people doing is they give excuses instead of giving efforts.
I think it's a really salutary lesson that you taught about that, Chris, because it's an old lesson in a way, because I remember in my Dale Carnegie days being taught, if it's to be, it's up to me type of thing. And then we seem to lose that, thinking that the magic is the web's going to do it all for us, and that great product and that great brand. But, really, buyers and people at companies, they buy you before they buy the product or the company, don't they?
100%. I think that's where people get so mixed up, is they think that you can buy products on the internet now. You can buy, people that get caught up in trying to sell features or sell benefits, you can go research all that. Yeah. What I don't think you can research, or people don't understand, is that you want to do business with people that are one, that are going to be there for the long haul, that they are going to make sure that they take care, they provide unbelievable customer service. They treat you with this, I call LTV, lifetime value. Like, Malcolm, I want to be your friend forever, right? I want to have a relationship. I want to make sure you and I are communicating. I want to make sure that I'm always staying in touch with you, because the product that I sell today might not be a product I sell tomorrow, but I'm always going to sell the product, which is myself. The things that I'm selling are going to change, but who I am and our relationship is what people value more than ever. And I think that the Dale Carnegie, by the way, I love your 1969 copy of that, because I am a huge believer in Dale Carnegie. I love everything that he talks about, how he speaks, how you should know the sweetest sound of somebody is their name. I think we've lost that. And I think that people don't understand, like, if you're going to go to a restaurant or you're going to go to a hotel, you ask your friends, or you look at Yelp referrals. You don't believe just because the company says it's the greatest steak you've ever had or the softest bed you've ever stayed in. You're going to refer to what your friends are the ones that are selling you on this.
Yes.
And that's what I think that we have to understand, is that you could sell whatever you choose to sell, but more than anything, you're selling yourself. What does your appearance look like? Words matter. How do you deliver? How to make sure you enter a room with a smile? How to make sure that you greet somebody in a way. Now, I don't know if it's a fist bump now. I don't know what it is, if it's a handshake, but I will say, being able to walk into a room and really be able to understand you are selling you. And how do you build confidence? Confidence is like any other muscle in our body. You have to work it out. Our attitude is like any other muscle in our body. If we want to get fit and we want to get strong in our biceps and our chest or our legs, we have to work them out. Same thing when it comes to our attitude. Same thing when it comes to, the ways that we go out there and present ourselves. It is a process that needs to be worked on every day.
Brilliant. Yeah. And I remember that other one from those years ago, attitude kickstart success. Chris, before we move to part 2, I'd just like to remind viewers and listeners of your URL. Now, if you would like that nice side hustle, and I believe that some have gone from a side hustle to actually being full-time working, pureromance.com. And if you can't spell romance, then I'm sorry, you're not a proper listener or a viewer, are you? The book's URL, this fabulous book, is secretisyou.com. Now, I'll spell that out again slowly for listeners. Viewers, you can see it on the screen behind me, secretisyou.com. And you cannot miss it on your shelf because it's pink. It's pink. It's called The Secret Is You, How I Empowered 250,000 Women to Find Their Passion and Change Their Lives. I've just managed one, and that's my wife, but it's published by Post Hill Press, by the way, Post Hill Press. Chris, time for part 2. And what seems like a simple question, but I guess it's got lots of different answers. What holds women back from business success, and how can they overcome it?
This is a question I get quite frequently. I think that women hold themselves back because they have put everybody else first. We've heard this before. This isn't anything new, but my experience of working with 250,000 of them, it is the biggest thing that we deal with is that they are so afraid of being judged one more time. They're afraid of failing one more time. They feel like that they fail as a mother, 9 times out of 10, nobody stands up and goes, Mom, those are the best chocolate chip pancakes, or Mom, thanks so much for the eggs. Mom, my room smells so amazing. Thank you so much. Or honey, that is the most amazing dinner. So they never feel or get those accolades at home. They also feel that, they get judged as being a sister. They get judged as being a wife. They get judged as being a friend. And I think that, when I talk to business owners, women business owners, they hold themselves back because they are so afraid that they're going to fail at one more thing or somebody else is going to judge them. And I keep telling them, the biggest thing that we have to take this life lessons in is that you can't love anyone else well until you love yourself. You can't find the best version of yourself until you love the person that you are. What I find with women business owners over the past 21 years, and I work with the most strong women, I think, in the world, and I've worked with the strongest, which is my mother. The one thing you will find that's always in common with them is their ability to pick themselves apart and find every flaw that they have. Men business owners, very different. They don't look at it that way. They're not picking themselves apart. A woman would be nicer to another woman in business than she will be to herself. Oh, that's a beautiful dress. But if she tries that same dress on, oh my gosh, it doesn't look well on me. It doesn't look good. I don't feel comfortable in this. And so what I try to instill for the business owners is, how do we build confidence in yourself? How do you start believing so you can start achieving more? And that is probably one of the biggest hurdles. But inside of Pure Romance, the best part about it that I love about it is it's a community. We try to build a community or a culture that tries to make sure we're lifting people up. It's a culture that when you're coming to that, you don't want to see anybody not fail. You want to always see people succeed. And that's where, it's a concept we got to be working at every day. It's like confidence and success and not picking yourself apart is like going to the gym. You need to do it every day. You need to make sure you're doing the habits to tell yourself that you are going to be successful. A lot of people think, oh my gosh, you mean I got to give myself affirmations on a daily basis? Yes, you do. You are what you say to yourself. If you say that you're not going to be good at something, or you're going to fail at something, or, you're not pretty enough, or you're not smart enough, well, guess what's going to happen? Those things will play out. And that's one of the biggest things I see that hold women business owners back, that we work through on a daily basis, not once a week, not twice a week, but it's daily. Repetition is the mother of learning. It's the father of action. It's the architect of accomplishment. The more you can do this for yourself, the more you're going to find. It's like, if you want to be a great, soccer player, if you want to be a great basketball player, you shoot free throws, right? You shoot free throws to get better. If you want to be good at math, you do math problems. If you want to be a great speller, you work on spelling. Same thing. If you want to be great at your business, you have to work on it every day. And if you want to be great with having a good attitude, or feeling like you're going to be able to compete or not to pick on yourself, it takes effort to do that.
I love working with women, by the way, because they're always asking, when I'm presenting workshops, they're the ones asking questions, whereas the males are sitting there with their hand shaking. You think, oh, and but what annoyed me or perplexed me a few years ago is that London Metropolitan University did research as to why women weren't becoming entrepreneurs. And I was presenting a lot of events. I was fascinated with this. And the principal reason was their spouse or their partner saying, what do you want to do that for? And I was wondering if it might be more jealousy by the male rather than anything else.
You see that a lot. I deal with this more now than I ever have, is that so many of these female business owners are now, the biggest breadwinners at the house, right? They're making the most amount of money. And yes, there becomes this thing that the male role believes that they should be the provider, and there is this, we're seeing a lot of equality come across, that it's not just, men that need to work anymore, and women. It's coming to a dual household income. But I will say that I told them, to every woman that works for me, the last time I checked, you're 18 years of age. You don't need to ask anybody for permission to do anything. If you choose to do this, and my wife came to me today and said, hey, I want to do this, the first thing I'm going to say is, okay, great. Tell me what it is. Let's go for it. Because is this going to make you happy? Because if this is going to make you happy, I want you to do it. Why would I want to steal somebody's happiness or tell them what they can and cannot do? Because last time I checked, this is supposed to be, we're in this for good times and bad times, right? And so I hear a lot of that, and I have to coach a lot of significant others through this process and say, listen, let them find themselves, be supportive. But what you find though, is there is a massive jealousy that comes in when the business owner, especially female, becomes more successful or becomes a breadwinner. And that is sometimes what we find. Women do not stick to a degree. They stick to getting things done. If a man, he goes, I'm an accountant, I won't take any other job but being an accountant. Women, if they're an accountant, but that job is gone, they will go find something else to survive for the family. It's just a different mentality. And again, like I said, I've worked with 250,000 of them, and I've been able to see these traits in most every one of them that I've worked with.
Now, I want to do a quick side question here, Chris, because I'm thoroughly enjoying it and my brain's bouncing around with everything you're talking about. We've got our Silverpreneurs program just emerging at the moment, which is for those people aged 50 plus starting a business, either needing to or wanting to. And obviously, a great part of that will be women who maybe have lost their job in retail, for example. Retail's had a disastrous time across the world, hasn't it? Are those sort of messages of affirmations and everything you've been talking just as applicable to people 50 plus, the Silverpreneurs?
100%. I'm dealing with this a lot because there is a lot of women not going back to the workforce in the United States as well. One is, a lot of them are staying home for childcare, still homeschooling, right? That's still going on. So yes, I'm seeing more and more of that, but I am seeing the fact, even doesn't matter what age you are, these affirmations, it's never too late, right? It's never too late to start training this, because this is our biggest tool, right? This is our biggest, headache. We only have two fears in life, and the fear of falling and the fear of loud noises. That's it. Everything else is false evidence appearing real. And so I think that people think, oh my gosh, I'm too old to start a side hustle. Why are you afraid to start it? I'm too old. It's not going to work for me. I'm too old to change my thought processes in my mind. No, you're not. That's what you tell yourself. And we remember what I said, we are what we speak to ourselves. We are what we tell ourselves. So if we wake up and say, you know what, I can do my side hustle. I've got this in me. I'm a pretty good person. People want to be around me. It sounds kind of Pollyannish, right? But it's the truth. It's right. It is what it is. And I see too many people that worry about their age. And I would love to start a silver program here in the United States. That's actually kind of fun. We don't have that going on right now, but that would be, I'm seeing more and more people that want a side hustle at a later age. They don't want to work for anybody else, and they don't want to work for somebody else's dreams. They would like to start working for their own dreams.
Well, we'll have to have a side hustle chat about that then. Carry on. Yeah. Listen, I want to move to part 3 now, because I know I'm taking so much of your time, and I'm very, 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 very grateful for it. What should be the essential pathway for any women watching or listening and keen to achieve entrepreneurial success? After all, we've just chatted about holdbacks, but let's get down to practical action. Take us on a journey to success.
Okay, here's the journey to success. And if you don't even want to go get the book, here's the underlying message of the book. We design our kitchens, we design our bathrooms, we design our bedrooms. But the last thing that we do is we never design our lives. And I think that that's where this whole book really, paints that picture for anybody that's going to be an entrepreneur, anybody that wants a side hustle, is that you truly can take and you can see from this person, I like a piece of that, or I like a piece of that. I mean, it's Pinterest for your life. You can create your own life. You can design it. I think too many people just look at life by default. They like, oh, I get done with university. I'm supposed to get in a relationship. We're supposed to have kids. And then you just kind of fall in and you forget about the dreams that you once had. And you forget that you can actually go out there and design your future. Why? Why did we give up on something? When we were kids, we could be anything we want to do. We could do anything we want. And I almost have to take somebody when they first start, in their mid 20s, early 30s, and they've lost this hope. They've lost that. Can I really do that? Yes. I've helped women take a business from $0 to $10 million in 5 years. And it's like, I didn't think I had that in me. No, you had it in you. You just chose to not design it properly. You didn't go out there and look for the materials. You didn't look for, hey, I need a little bit of this. And as far as, oh, a little self-help, I need a little bit of this over here, a little bit of management. I need a little bit of this of networking, and start putting it on your little Pinterest board. And once you did that, you start designing it like you would design your kitchen or like you would design your living room. And that's the big piece that I get people to understand, is like, man, I can design this. I do have the authority. I do have it in myself. That's what I would say is the biggest takeaway that is from this book.
Brilliant. Yeah, you're an inspiration. I want to now talk about part 4, which is another inspiration. During my search for yours, my research for yours and listeners about Chris and his book, I came across the excellent work that he and his wife, Jessica, are doing with their Living with Change Foundation. So, Chris, tell us what it does and why you and Jessica started it.
So Living Change is probably the most near and dear thing to me. I've been successful in business, and I had children at a later age. Our child that we had was born a boy, and I was so excited. I played college football, I played college basketball. I was so excited about having my first child, my first boy. But from the age of 3, my child kept saying, "Daddy, I'm a girl. Daddy, I'm a girl." And, no, you're a boy, you're a boy, you're a boy. And no, Daddy, I'm a girl. Well, at the age of 8, this kept going on from 3 until 8. Finally, I came home from a traveling one time, and I found out, my wife had a really tough day. Elle had been really recluse with the family. And so finally, she's like, I can't do any more with Elle. I don't know what to do. I said, fine, I'm going to go in and find out what's going on. So I walked into Elle and I said, hey, what is up? Dad, I have no clothes to wear. No, I have a whole closet of clothes. You have some of those. Dad, those are all boy clothes. I have no clothes to wear to dinner with Mimi. So I remember taking Elle and going to the mall and finding out there's a place called Macy's in town. And I said, well, I'm going to go in and find clothes. And whatever I find, you're going to wear these clothes out in public. These are girl clothes, but you can wear them out in public and you're not changing. I thought scared straight, right? That was what I thought. So I remember taking to Macy's, going and finding, I said, whatever you pick out, you got to wear. I'll never forget this as this day happened. Elle went into the dressing room, had a blue skirt, white top. Came out, twirled around and said, Daddy, aren't I beautiful? And that was the moment that I chose love over everything. So my wife and I started a foundation. My Elle is now 13 years of age. Living with Change really deals with transgender youth. And so my wife and I really want to be advocates and allies for the LGBTQ group, and more focusing in on trans work. And so we started a foundation that would do a couple of things. We donated $2 million to Children's Hospital to make sure that we didn't have a clinic anymore. We actually had a center, and this center would work with psychologists. It would work on making sure we had the best doctors there to work with the children, making sure we had good outreach, and also make sure we have good counseling for the family members. Living with Change probably is my legacy of what I'm going to be working with working with transgender youth. I mean, over 60% of them, tried to commit suicide. Yes. And this is too much. I mean, these children don't know how to adjust to everything, and especially with things that are going on in the world. So for me and Jessica and our family, we lost friends when we told them what we were doing, but were they really friends? We've gained so much more by being able to be allies and be advocates. And we are going to continue. We are going to donate half of our wealth to Living with Change to make sure that this continues to move into other parts of the United States. And hopefully we get over into other parts of the world. We'd like to work with people like Dwayne Wade and people that are out there that are being really big voices in the community for transgender health.
Yeah, it's excellent work because, you go to countries like India, for example, where people like that are just regarded as the worst of the worst, the lowest of the lowest, aren't they? I applaud you on that work. It must be very pioneering if we're going back, 10 years or?
Yeah. Now we're talking about, we launched it in 2017. So we're going on 4 years now. And you think about that, 4 or 5 years now. And now it is, I mean, I remember when we came out and really started talking about this, it was really big. People were like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you're talking about this. I can't believe you're out there. Actually, I said, well, listen, I was given a microphone. For me to be silent and not say anything is the wrong thing to do. I have a microphone and I'm going to use it. Every time I get on stage, I talk about it. Every time I go to networking or a business leader event, I talk about it. I was invited to speak at Young Presidents Organization in in Atlanta, and this came up. They asked me to come and speak in front of 500 people about transgender health and youth in that story. When I got off stage, I had almost 50 people that were coming out that wanted to speak with me on this subject. And I thought that to me shows that there are people. It could have been, I'm an aunt of somebody, I'm an uncle of somebody, it's my child, I'm a grandparent. Nobody's immune to this. And I think the more we can just lead with love and not lead with having to be right, like that's the biggest thing. I think we got to treat people with respect, no matter who they are. We are in a world that has an emotional or has a lot of a debt right now. We need to make sure that we're working with empathy. We have to look at it from other people's point of view. There is so much right now that I think with Black Lives Matter, with what's going on with trans health, with what's going on around the world, we have an emotional debt that we have to work through. We have to have more empathy for people.
Yeah. And I think the other thing there, Chris, is that conscious leadership, which is, we have a major program, major effort here at BizVision on conscious leadership, understanding that compassionate, and leaders want to do that. They know that's the way forward. And suddenly they're almost being given with COVID the ticket to ride, if that's the expression, to go for it, to understand. Whereas in the past, well, we'll just put that aside. Now they can actually show the pace. So brilliant. Well done. Living with Change, everybody. Livingwithchange.org. Livingwithchange.org. In this short interview, I've only managed to dip a little bit into this well-written and well-presented book here in this book, The Secret is You. But I trust that's enough for you to want to go get it. And not just put it on your bookshelf, but put it to use. Thanks, Chris Cicchinelli, for a great interview.
Thank you so much for having me. And I really enjoyed this today.